Hello and welcome to the Simply Greg Show. As you already know, the Simply Greg Show is all about elevating the mind and inspiring the community by spotlighting the hidden gems in the community, and that's basically ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Once again, today we've got an amazing guest with us today. He's an amazing individual that I've had a pleasure to actually come in contact with, who's doing amazing things at the present moment. As today we're going to be talking about how to get the right car finance for yourself. And to help me with this today is none other than Gavin Cameron. How you doing,
What's
bro?
happening, Greg? I'm good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for bringing in the colours as well.
Trying to keep summer alive.
That- That's it, exactly. You got the brightness. And that's how you can tell we're from the same era as well. We both come out with...
I thought the same thing. Yeah. 80s baby born in West London.
That's the thing, innit? Come out with cardigans and come out with colours as well. So, but Gavin, obviously, it's amazing to see what you're doing, you know, especially when I see another black business that's kind of trying to pave the way, you know, within their industry. It's always inspiring because, you know, it's great to see many of us entrepreneurs kind of like take life, you know, by the horn and kind of like pay the way and making a difference as necessary within our industries as well.
I think it's important,
Mm.
especially in this day and age. I mean, spaces like this.
Mm.
I spent many a time driving up and down the dual carriageway and pulling in here and seeing what's going on inside here.
Yeah.
There's no excuse not to be trying and doing. If you've got an idea now, you have to make it work. Because
That's it.
when we were younger, there was no chance of us being able to shoot and record
Yeah,
and put out to the amount of people that are going to see this. So I think it's
Yeah.
important.
that's true.
For
Big
any
time.
entrepreneur, if you got an idea, try and make it happen because now's the time.
That's it. And you've got all the accessories and everything
Trust
available to you to actually make it
Trust me.
happen. So,
You speak to
What
thousands
excuse-
of people by the push of a button. It's crazy.
yeah, it's true. So much more different than it was before.
100%.
Gavin, obviously, you've got this particular business called, obviously, Car Guru.
Yeah, car buying guru.
Car Buying Guru.
Don't say the other two. They're the enemies. They're the ops.
He said they're ups, you know. Yeah.
They're a bit different.
Yeah, Car Buying Guru. Obviously, I don't want to redirect you into the wrong places and so forth. But yeah, what is this business that you currently have at Car Buying Guru, and how did you get yourself involved in it?
So we coin it as a digital dealership.
Yeah,
So
love
it's
it.
an online-based car dealership. We offer a lot of what the traditional dealerships do, plus a lot more. I could start with the beginning of my journey in the motor trade. It was in 2012. My son was just over a year, no, coming up to a year old. Money was tight. I was in a job I weren't really happy. I needed to move,
Yeah.
and I just saw an opportunity, like you do. You saw a job advert for selling cars over the phone
Yeah.
in a place in Birmingham, Fort Dunlop building. So anyone from Birmingham will know.
Would know.
Yeah. I was in this.
Big up
new-
Birmingham as well.
Yeah,
0161.
Yeah. 0121.
0121, sorry.
But yeah, I moved up there and I was new to the city and it was a new opportunity. So I went for the job interview, got the job, and I started selling cars over the phone. And I've done sales before. I used to sell jewelry, phones, all sorts. And I think having down here in London, there's a different competitiveness and there's a different mentality. So I just think that helped me go a lot further than the competition that was in the office in Birmingham at the time. And I just done really well selling cars over the phone. But what they did, they sent me on a training course with guys that were selling cars in the dealership. And all of them said to me, you'll kill it in a dealership. You'll get paid, instead of getting paid £10 a car, you can get paid £50 to £100 a car. And it was a no-brainer for me. So I went to a dealership, worked in a dealership, and like a lot of the guys that spoke to me on that training course said I did really well. Within 18 months I got promoted to business manager, which was kind of unheard of at the time. And then as a business manager I did really well. We hit £1 million net profit. It's like a little dealership in Wolverhampton. Me and my team did that.
Wow.
I was leading the team for doing that, and then
Wow.
eventually there was a glass ceiling where I just knew I wasn't going to go any further. There were opportunities to climb the ladder. I was more qualified than guys that were climbing the ladder. My profile didn't fit, if you catch my drift. And then
I love that.
I always had a desire to work for myself.
Yeah.
And I went to a guy I knew at the time. He was a massive promoter, like the biggest promoter in Birmingham. We did a comedy show when I first got to Brum. A brand that was down here called LOL. You might have heard of it.
Yeah.
Me and the guy that owned the brand approached this promoter in Birmingham. We did really well, so I knew he knew about social media.
Yeah,
And I had
yeah.
a desire to get into social media management. I just wanted that way to be my way out, because I said to one of my colleagues at the garage in I think it was like November 2016. I think. I said by April I'm out of it. I need to go.
Love it.
So I just had that thing in my head that I'm leaving this place, and I said to Lee, I said, I want to start social media management, and he was like, there's a lot of people doing it, whatever. We had a conversation. He tried to help me. Then eventually he said to me, you should try leasing cars. But it was like a conversation we had, because he just leased his new car. And he was showing me his new car. You know what guys are like to get a new car.
Yeah,
show it to anyone that will listen. And he said, I got this for a leasing broker. You should try leasing and whatever. You're already in the motor trade. But he didn't know I'm a bit crazy. So that night I went home and I spent the whole night researching how to open a leasing package. And yeah, after that, I started a franchise, and I asked him to become my business partner. He's now the co-founder. It was called One Call Vehicle Leasing. And then I realised that in my time in the dealership, there was a lot of people that were buying cars. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know about all these different options that were available. I was learning about more options with leasing, and new cars was a whole new world for me, because I was mainly used cars.
Yeah.
And then we sat down, made further planning and further looking at what it could become. And the concept Car Buying Guru come up. We separated from the franchise, started our own brand, registered a company, and here we are now helping people get into cars, giving them the option to buy cars with more knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you'll find that anyone that's gone into a dealership, you'll find that guys are just going to pounce on them. And we get a lot of female clientele, because they're the ones, they don't grow up loving cars, do they? Just want a car. As long as it looks nice and drives.
So you just show them the aesthetics and that.
Exactly, yeah. They'll ask me what colour it is, and that's about it. They don't really care about brake horsepower and all them business.
Yeah.
So, we were just able to give them a more relaxed way of buying a vehicle, also a more informed way of buying a vehicle, remove the cloak and daggers, and also allow them to be a lot more confident in the way they're buying it. But the funniest thing was that people were saying, in my dealership, no one's going to buy a car off you over the internet. Who's going to do that?
Wow.
Everyone wants to test drive the cars and blah, blah, blah. And it was a struggle convincing the general public to do that for a large part. In 2017, the world was a lot different to it is even now. And then we slowly started hitting certain people, and they started to understand. They'll have a experience in the dealership, then come to us and realise the difference with the experience. And then this little thing called COVID happened. And you weren't allowed in dealerships.
Just a little thing.
Yeah, exactly. This world-changing thing. And yeah, you weren't allowed in dealerships. And just all these people that said you couldn't sell cars over the internet had to start selling cars over the internet. And we always saw it, because, you know what I mean, you want to buy a McDonald's now, you can either go to the drive-thru and sit in the drive-thru, or you can go on your phone and go on the Uber Eats. If you want to buy office equipment or podcast equipment, you can go to Curry's PC World. We can go on Amazon and get delivered to you the same day. Same day. So we saw it going that way. Things like Netflix killing off blockbuster videos. We just wanted to be the Netflix of the motor trade, but we didn't expect it to be so quick. No one saw COVID coming in now. Yeah, we're in 2021 now, and it's getting bigger. So we got a lot coming. Like we got an app we've launched, soft launch, which we're gonna be putting out a lot bigger by the end of the year, which just allows the whole maintenance of a vehicle as well. Because once you got the car, we're trying to now help people know how to when to service their car. People miss things like MOTs.
Love it.
So we got a mobile app that does all that as well. So trying to be groundbreaking, man. Trying to change the game.
I love it, Gavin. I love that, and thank you for sharing that as well, man. Because all of those little things make a difference, you know, when you add that to the services you provide, and, you know, understanding a customer's journey and what they'll go through and what is necessary towards supporting them in that process.
It's crazy. Some of the stuff I've seen. I mean, I've seen people like go from having amazing A1 credit to having IVAs and being stuck in a car and not knowing what to do. And I've helped them out. But the mad thing is, when I was working for the dealership, they would have told I would have got in trouble for helping people.
Wow, true.
Because they're just caring about the bottom line.
Yeah, true.
You could have made £1,000 out of that. Why have you done it for
True.
£250?
True.
I've seen an old man come into the dealership once and said he wanted a 1.6 engine, not understanding that the new refined 1 litre engine is just as powerful.
Yeah.
And they sold him like a Fiesta ST in red.
Wow.
Some petrol head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some 21-year-old car.
Yeah.
So someone's granddad's now
driving
around and it's just wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's not right. But
someone's granddad's at the lights like...
That's what I'm saying. Not realising what they've
ease
done
up, man.
Yeah, exactly. But it happens because at the end of the day, they've got salesmen that are given a target. You sell this car. And there's no point. You don't need to be like that. You don't need to be like that. And that's what we're trying to also add to the game. Just trying to help people make
And I love
their
that,
second
man.
biggest purchase in the right. Some people, the car's their only biggest purchase they make. They don't necessarily buy a house. So we're trying to make sure that one of the biggest purchases you can make in your life is done the right way.
Done the right way. And I love the fact that you said about done the right way, because obviously, you know, there are many different ways that you can go about it. And like you mentioned earlier on, there's so many option deals as well that sometimes it could be all jargon to someone. You know, you go into the
100%.
dealership and they're just talking about all of this APR and they're talking about, you know, the balloon, and you're like, yeah, but you just want to be in that new whip and just like, yeah, drive
That's how
out
they
and
get you.
whatnot.
That's
Yeah.
how they get you, because you're just gagging for the keys. Just give me the keys, I'll sign whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It happened. I've seen it.
Which is funny because, like, not even a year down the line, it just becomes like nothing.
You stop washing it
You
every
ju-
week.
yeah.
You start letting the petrol run down to empty. It's for real, like cars. And this is coming from a guy that sells cars. Like, cars are just cars.
Yeah.
This is what I tell my client. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a car.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's
Use
not,
it for what it is.
use it for what it is.
Yeah.
Don't kill yourself for it.
Yeah, it's true, it's true. All the emotional attachments towards it as well is what
goes
you're
quick.
paying extra for,
It
man.
goes quick.
You're
So when you
paying-
get a new pair of trainers and you crease them for the first time, you
Yeah.
kind of
yeah. You don't really have the same
forget.
emotions.
forget. Yeah, you forget. You forget
You're
it
like,
cost you 110 pounds.
Oh, you're creased now,
exactly.
man. Just like,
The
I
Air
didn't want
Forces
you
are
there.
done. Yeah, exactly.
now we're here, so I have to keep you on the side now. And go.
But the thing is, well, majority you don't get trainers necessarily that cost 10 grand, not from JD.
Yeah.
With a car, you need to try and think about what you're doing when you're spending 20, 30, 40 upwards on a vehicle. What do you really need it? Are you making the right decision, or could you go for something a bit more humble?
And I love it because one of the things that we was also talking about on one of the previous shows about financial management is about the external pressures. You know,
it's
learning
mad.
to alleviate yourself from those external pressures, because otherwise you would actually end up yourself putting yourself in so much more debt because of external pressure.
It's mad.
Like you're saying, someone may not need a particular car for that. You know, whereas someone else might need that, but yet you're putting yourself in that position to put yourself in a situation where you want to show yourself to be a certain way,
You
but
wanna
it's
stunt
extra
on
cost.
people.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Just
want
be
to
forward.
flex. They want to flex in the German whip and all the rest of it, which I get it.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
it. I grew up in a certain environment where
Yeah.
that was a thing, and I can still be of that ilk. But I think when you work in
It's
the
more
motor trade-
calculated now.
Yeah, when you work in the motor trade and you see people making bad purchases, and you're given a car. I was given a car like every 3 months. I was given a brand new brand. So you know that whole thing you're saying about the novelty wearing off.
Yeah.
When I can literally jump in any car.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I can drive it straight away.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Some days I'll drive 10 different cars.
Yeah.
So it's just I really see that this is
And
just
it's true.
another car.
Because I remember even like one of my first ones, like I kitted it out, man.
Yeah,
I spent
yeah.
so much on that. Like
Yeah.
I just like wanted to make sure it's all the same color, the dash and everything.
Everything was bad.
And then later on, after next, I just bought it as it was and just pass on,
Yeah.
moving to the next. Like just
It's
don't
crazy.
have that attachment towards it in the same way. It's just like it is what it is. It's supposed to just get me where it needs to get me. And
Exactly.
you know,
We can have nice things, don't get me wrong. I don't want to
Yeah.
sound like some party people, like everyone needs to drive rubbish cars. You
Yeah.
can have nice things, but like I said, the conversations I have with my clients is, do you really need to have that when this is an option as well?
yeah,
Just as nice, does the same, if not more. Because the thing is, if you buy a Mercedes for the same price, you can get, say, a Ford. The Ford's going to do way more things.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
gonna have more technology on it.
yeah,
Seat, you might be able to get leather seats on the Ford, but you have to get
yeah,
like half leather on the Merc.
yeah.
But
And I think
because it's got a Merc, you got the Merc key that you can swing around in the car.
yeah.
People want that instead.
And I think you like for me the way I took what you were saying as well is not so much being a party pooper, but it's more so understand the whys of
Exactly.
why you're doing something.
Exactly.
Where is it coming from? Like
Exactly.
which part? Do you understand? Because
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like I told you, like sometimes, or if I find myself in a situation where I'm traveling first class and something, I know why I'm doing that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
for the.
yeah, yeah.
Do you understand?
makes
Like
sense.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
I'm or wherever I'm going. Because also at the same time, I'm trying to put myself in that environment of other business
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
entrepreneurs.
I get that.
I do a deal before we've landed or before we've got some. There's a reason rather than do you understand? But if you know what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing, then there's more logic towards it rather than the external pressures and being gassed and just
Trying to fit
wanting
in.
to. Yeah,
Trying to
that's
fit in.
that's how I see what you're saying as well.
It's hard being the one that doesn't fit in. I get it. I get it. If inside.
He said, "I get it." Yeah, I love it. I get
It's
it.
true, it's
Look,
true.
I get it.
I've been there. It's true. It's true. If you can't be the guy that's not driving the big whip.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know people that are driving big whips and they can't afford them.
Mm.
Personally, like popular figures that are
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there flexing.
Yeah.
And I know that you're struggling.
Yeah.
Because they come to me when they
Yeah.
want to buy the car, so I know. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a lot of it's foolishness. I think it's bad because you got young people looking up to them, thinking
Mm.
that they're on Jay-Z money because they've got a certain car, when really they're not doing much better than you, if not worse than you.
And that's one of the things that I find is sad, that, you know, the frugalness of being financially savvy isn't passed down. You know, we you know, like you're saying about the different generations, one person seeing that guy flexing like that, but in terms of actual people, you know, kind of passing down the savviness of money management, because you've got even, you know, we see certain cases where a lot of rappers, artists, or even football players, you know, they get into certain positions, but they don't really know how to, even now actors, because we've broken out, or the community's broken out in various different spectrums and industries and so forth.
Cool.
But when it comes to the financial management, when you actually look it inside, some of them, because they haven't been taught, you know, how to handle that, have put themselves in difficult positions where they're having to like start from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, which we've seen in certain interviews. I've seen Dappy talked about, and other people
Yeah,
kind of
it's
talk
crazy.
about Jonathan. And
I always
you
think about it like, some of these guys, they'll get $4,000 a month just off Spotify.
yeah,
That's a lot of money.
yeah, literally.
It's a lot of money, like,
Yeah.
and that's not even them going to work. That's just
Yeah.
them laying down in their bed
Yeah.
while me and you stream their music.
Yeah,
And everyone else that listen, like, there's a fan of them. They'll
Yeah.
make 4 bags. Then they got their show money and all the rest of it. But because they're all competing to be looking like they've got the most,
yeah.
it does get crazy out there. But we could talk all day about
Yeah,
it.
no,
I could go on all day about this stuff. It's crazy.
ideally, the main thing that I want people to kind of identify, which I'm stringing in, is the savviness and the frugalness about your decisions,
Yeah,
and knowing
100%.
how to manage yourself and manage your finances. Even though I gave that kind of example,
So me and my co-founder Lee, we kind of discussed it, and we're trying to be like the sensible head, or the logical side. We want to be the logical side when you're buying a car, because I think I said to you when we spoke on the phone that when you can buy cars for like 60 grand, right, upwards, yeah. But I could, where I'm living now, my mum's moved from Camberwell, and she's living in the West Midlands.
Yeah.
She bought a flat up there for 60 grand.
Mm.
To do that, I had to prove that she had the money.
Yeah.
I had to get a surveyor.
Yeah.
We had to get a mortgage advisor. No, she didn't need a mortgage advisor, but
Yeah.
she would have needed a mortgage advisor.
Yeah, she needed.
But if I left the same day she bought that flat and gone
Mm.
into Land Rover and said I wanted a range for 60 bags, I would have drove away with that the same day. If I had A1 credit and
Yeah.
I had the money, I could show the affordability and all the rest of it, I could have drove away the same day. What's the difference? Well, how do they know that I can afford, like, do you know what I mean? How do they know why do they not go through the same sort of checks? So we try and be that for people buying cars. We try and help them make wise decisions like you have to. It's legally an issue, or it's a legal requirement, should I say.
I see what you
when
mean,
buying a
because
house.
those steps within the process are not really there.
No,
So
you
people
can
just go
like,
straight in.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Dave in Land Rover can rip you off today, and because you signed the paperwork, you're bound in. After 14 days, you're bound in, and you didn't see what was coming down the road.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to do.
And that
certain
first
checks.
40 days, you're busy stunting anyway. So
You're going to every like right now. Could you imagine? You're going.
man's not thinking about those terms of conditions.
You're parking outside every brunch possible. It's just, you know what I mean? And it's happening right now. I guarantee you. There's people right now that have bought a car they can't afford just to flex.
Yeah.
We're back outside now. So,
Yeah, it's true.
We're trying to help people not do that.
And what are you finding that some of the common issues are within that trade and within that industry that people may not be aware of, that they really need to know?
The main thing is that there's so many options. People tend to look at the prices. So again, if you go to many dealerships, you'll just see like red stickers on the side, £300 a month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you don't know what the terms and conditions are. You just want to get to that £300 a month. So it could be something simple like you go on like a PCP, which is personal contract purchase.
Okay.
You keep the car for up to 4 years, and at the end of the 4 years, you either hand the car back, part exchange it, or you pay a balloon payment to keep the car.
Okay.
People go on that and they'll have a certain amount of mileage on there, and they might set themselves to the lowest possible mileage, 5,000 miles.
Okay.
But then, like you said, they got the car straight away. They're out every night, going everywhere. They're driving like, do you know what I mean? We're in London, want to go party in Manchester. I'll drive because you got your new car. You wanna. You know what I mean? It's true.
That's true.
And then they'll clock up their miles quickly. but then at the end of it, you got to pay.
Okay.
And then you won't be explained that necessarily in a dealership, because you've got a guy that sat there at the end of the month, he wants to hit target. I've been there. Do you know what I mean? I've been there, and I know that my son needs whatever nursery fees paid. I've got to hit my target, but there's some guys in there that is ruthless. They don't care.
Boy,
They
sell
wanna make
your
as much.
granddad some mad.
For real. And people don't realize the options. They don't have that conversation. So like some of my sales team, I've had to explain to them that the sales process is a bit longer because of how we do things. The people that speak to us, if they wanted to just go and buy a car the same day, they'll go to a dealership. They want to get in touch with us. But the reason they're getting in touch with us because they want to have their hand held. They want to understand it a bit more. But the guarantee is that when they come to the end of it, they're happy. So if you go on our Google reviews are 5-star.
I love it.
I've got messages on my WhatsApp for days of people saying how happy they are with the service.
Love it.
And my colleagues too, because we're not trying to just push you in the car and then walk away. Do you see what I'm saying?
I love that, man. It doesn't take much to actually just go the extra mile, and that's something that I personally love doing, is just being able to go the extra mile to provide that extra quality that goes a long way in someone's experience towards something.
That's what I'm saying. And it also, for me, more than anything, like from a selfish point of view, we're trying to build a brand that lasts forever. We're not just trying to make a quick buck and duck. It's just not about trying to be rich for a couple of years. We're trying to
really
be wealthy
sustainable.
forever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Something that if I want to, I can pass down to my son, or we can sell for whatever, because the brand's so solid. Whereas a lot of these dealerships, they're just out to make money each month. Where I worked, they just cared about the end of the month.
It's true. It's true.
And you don't get any referrals that way. You don't get any loyalty that way. You don't get anything other than a bad rep when you just think about the money.
And what are some of the different options? Because you also mentioned earlier on that there's a very few different options.
I always say when we have a consult, so we do like a free consultation at the beginning. Or if you contact us on Instagram, it will be me usually answering the questions. And one of the first things I ask is, how long do you want to keep the car for? Because there's this whole stigma attached, or it's kind of getting different now, but you need to own your car. First of all, if you buy a car on hire purchase, yes, you'll own it at the end, but you don't own it till the end. And that's for 5 years. Up until that 5 years, try and miss a payment and see if they ain't start talking about coming and taking that car you own. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Number one. So when you do finally own it after 5 years, what usually happens? I'm bored of this. Do you know what I mean? I've got this A-Class, I want a new shape A-Class now. So you never really want to own a car, do you? Like, long gone are the days where you want to keep your car for 10 years like our parents may have done, or our grandparents may have done. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's PCP, personal contract purchase. I recommend to only do that on a used car. Because on a new car you can get a better deal on a lease. And they're pretty much the same thing. The only difference with a PCP, like I said, you've got the option to keep the car or part exchange it at the end. With a lease, you have to swap it at the end. It's basically a rental. Some people call it contract hire. So yeah, you just pay your monthly payment each month, and then at the end of it, you hand the car back. There are mileage limitations, but you can work out how many miles you're doing. Look at your service book on your current car. What's the difference between last year's service and the service you've done this year? Or on the MOT, if you're doing MOTs, check how many miles, what the mileage difference is on the MOT. So they're the main ones we do. Hire purchase, if you want to own it for 5 or more years, go HP. But be real with yourself. Are you going to be bored of that car after 5 years? If you're going to want to change it and you're looking for a used car, look at a PCP. Or if you want a brand new car, I'd say look at a lease. And we can provide all three.
Yeah, that's amazing, great. And obviously you've also had people come to you, I'm sure, with various different circumstances, as you mentioned earlier on. There's others who've got A1 credit, but there's others who don't. In such circumstances, what's some of the advices that you give to them in that situation?
I got a book, called So You Want to Buy a Car with Poor Credit. I'll send you the link. You can link it on the video. You can download it. It explains it all in there. But just to give you like a short version, firstly, it's not the end of the world. A lot of people I speak to think having poor credit and trying to, I can't get this car. Like, it's not the end of the world, but you do need to do something about it. And the thing with car finance is one of the best ways to improve your credit. So if you can show that you can keep up the payments, which is it's one of the biggest payments you can make. On a monthly basis, then it helps with improving your credit rating. So you can only do hire purchase generally. There are a few companies popping up allowing you to do PCP and leasing, but generally speaking, you can only do hire purchase. And just be sensible. My biggest advice with people is just be sensible with what car you want. Because what happens is people come to me like, oh, my credit's poor, I don't think I'll get accepted, blah de blah de blah. Then I'll say, look, I think I can, let me try. I'll ask them a few questions, I think I can, I'll try. The broker we work with is pretty good with that sort of thing. Get them accepted. As soon as they hear they're accepted, that's it, head's gone. So what car should we look at? Like, I'm thinking they might want something sensible. No, I was looking at the Range Rover Evoque, or I wanted a Merc GLC or an E-Class, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's going to cost you thousands of pounds
Yeah,
per month,
yeah,
first
yeah.
of all, because your credit ratings is what it is. You
Yeah.
know what it is, and the interest rate's going to be high. The APR, there's no way avoiding that. The people that are going to lend you money to buy a car, they don't necessarily trust you, so they're going to make every penny out of you
Yeah.
until they think you're going to stop paying. So the monthly payments are going to be high because they want to claw back as much money as quickly as possible. And if you keep it, they're going to want to make as much profit as possible because they're taking a big risk on you. So when you start talking like Mercs, Beamers and Rangers, you're only going to set yourself up for another fault. Because what's going to happen is you're probably not
Rather
gonna be
than
able to
building yourself up.
Right, exactly.
Okay, cool.
So you're not going to be able to afford it at some point. Because if you do get one, it's either going to be too expensive and eventually you're going to fall down and miss payments, which is going to put more marks on your credit file. Or you're going to get yourself something you can afford, but to get something you can afford, it's going to have high mileage or simply just be really old for what it is. It's going to be cheap for a reason. That means it's going to break down every month. So you're going to end up spending another monthly payment worth of money in the mechanics, or just have the car parked on road and have to. Do you know what I mean? It gets a bit long. So, yeah, I mean,
So having a long-term plan or sight towards that as well is a
exactly.
good.
So again, I have these conversations. Some people, they listen and they're pretty open to it. And my thing is, look, just try it for a few years. Have this for a few years. Pay it off as quickly as possible. That's the other thing. If you got poor credit and you get accepted with a high APR, there's no way of avoiding it. But what you can do is pay as much as possible. So if you get bonuses from work, if you I don't know, if you're still lucky enough to get money for your birthday, it's a long time ago for me. But yeah, if you get any money coming in that's extra, put it on the car.
Yeah.
Because you're not charged. You're not like penalised for paying it off early. They scrapped that. The government scrapped that in 2012, where you could be penalised for paying off your car finance early. So yeah, just pay it off as quickly as possible. That will save you interest. Because if you do, I've get it a lot. They got poor credit, then they do the calculation like 250 times X. Like I'm paying like $4,000 worth of interest, like because of your credit rating. But if you pay it off quick, you pay less over the term. So you do that, and then once you come to the end of it, your credit rating will go up. Which I've seen people turn it around. There's a lady I think she's halved her APR with us. She's about to get her car delivered next week, and her APR's gone down by half.
Wow.
In a year. Granted, she's putting in a big deposit, so she had a lot of equity in the car, and she's able to get out a bit early. But she's done what we said.
And what's the standard percentage at the moment, roughly?
For poor credit?
Yeah.
It ranges. It could be anything from 14.9 up to 29.9%
Wow.
APR. Like,
And what about standard if you've got good credit?
We can get 7.9% at the moment.
9%, yeah.
7.9.
7.9.
On a PCP or HP, we can get, or on a lease, there's no actual. There's no actual interest. It's just a flat fee.
Then you pay it, and then you go and swap it at the end.
It's divvied up per month,
Yeah. So thank you for obviously sharing all that information, because it's necessary towards everyone who might be obviously taking that next step and so forth, and just relative information for people to also take on board and know that there are various different options and ways that they can go about that as well.
100%.
So obviously this is the first half. I'm speaking to Gavin about how to get the right kind of financing deal for yourself, and he shared a lot of information and to us about obviously the challenges that people go upon kind of like getting themselves a financing deal, some of the jargon as well that to bear in mind. On the next half, what he's going to do is share with us the practicalities of how you go about getting yourself the best or the right kind of car financing deal for yourself. So don't touch that dial. We'll see you on the other side. See you soon.